This is the Disney Pixar Cars X Formula 1 diecast set, a brand new 3-pack released as part of Disney and Formula 1's ongoing brand partnership. It includes 3 brand new exclusive diecasts with Formula 1 versions of McQueen, Francesco, and Alex Machino. I think this is easily one of the coolest diecast releases of the year, so let's take a closer look. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another review, and to a very exciting one, because today we are taking a look at the brand new Cars X Formula 1 3-pack, officially listed online as the Disney and Pixar Cars X Formula 1 diecast set. It includes 3 brand new diecasts, and it just came out last Friday, August 14th, this released on the Disney Store website. Yeah, Mattel diecasts on the Disney Store website. We'll get to that in just a second. I have been really highly anticipating this item ever since it leaked back in February. We first heard about it all the way back then. I was so excited to hear about a Cars Formula 1 collab. It's something I've been hoping for years. It seemed like an inevitability. We've had Cars NASCAR collab diecasts since 2021. So I felt like F1 would come sooner or later. What I wasn't expecting, though, was for it to be a massive collab outside of just diecast. So yes, we have this diecast 3-pack, but in addition to that, they launched a whole set of different themed clothes, some of which will be sold at races, and different accessories. Even this goofy McQueen plush that we unboxed the other day that I got alongside this 3-pack. This is a really big collab compared to the NASCAR one, which is pretty much just diecasts, and sometimes we'll do car stuff at NASCAR races. This is a pretty big thing they're doing, part of an ongoing brand partnership between Disney and Formula 1 that started last year. I wasn't even aware of that, but yeah, this was all announced at D23 on Thursday night before several pieces of merchandise, including this 3-pack, dropped on the Disney Store website the following morning. Now, unfortunately, this 3-pack is not currently in stock there. It's no longer available, though some of the other items are. But, according to Disney, when they announced this at D23, select items were coming to the Disney Store website first, and more will be released on the Formula 1 website on August 27th. So we've got another chance to pick these up just a few days after this review comes out if you missed them the first time. So yeah, pretty wild to have regular Cars diecasts on the Disney Store website, which, typically has its own diecast line, right? We have the slightly larger, slightly more expensive Disney Store Cars. But yeah, they did Mattel diecast for this, and it just so happened to release on the Disney Store website because, that's where they decided to put it. It was a big drop that Disney did. So it's being sold on the Disney Store website, being sold on the Formula 1 website. They're releasing other merchandise, again, I believe, at an actual F1 race in a couple months. So super cool stuff. And I mean, you couldn't have a Cars brand collab without making some new diecasts, right? It's not often we have Cars brand collabs. Really, the only other one out there is NASCAR. But it's really great that they took this opportunity to do diecasts. They didn't have to, but it certainly would have felt a bit odd if they did this big Cars collab without taking advantage of the most popular Cars toy line. And man, they really went all out. You have this absolutely beautiful box, this window box here. We're used to getting window boxes for online exclusive packs. But this one in particular looks fabulous, honestly, with this very cool color scheme that's being used all over the Cars Formula 1 merchandise. You can see it on the tag for the McQueen as well. This black, and then yellow, then red, and then white with these little patterns on the inside. I'm not familiar with Formula 1. I always say when I review the NASCAR cars that I really don't know much about NASCAR. I know even less about F1. But this does seem in line with other F1 merchandise that I've seen in terms of color scheme. Of course, we have the Cars logo here, the Mattel logo, and the metal logo as well. Again, you can see your 3 cars here through the plastic. This pack retails for $19.99 US dollars, or at least that was the price on the Disney Store website, which honestly is kind of ridiculous. It's a very good looking pack with 3 brand new items, but $20 for 3 Cars diecasts is pretty steep. I know cars prices, vary from region to region, but here in the US, cars diecasts are typically $4 to $5 each right now. And so someone please explain to me how 3 cars at $5 each equals a $20 pack, right? All right, 3 packs historically have been around $15. That's just how it goes. That's the price of 3 cars, and the Cars Diecast line is usually very, very fairly priced. A few years ago, we had the Cars on the Road Storytime Circus 4-pack, and that was $20 for 4 cars. And then, it's a little more if you want to get a 5-pack. This really is not a fair price compared to basically every other Cars Diecast line item on the market, and it's kind of ridiculous to charge the price of 4 cars when you are very clearly getting 3. That's something that I just had to talk about right off the bat. It's not often I even really bring up pricing in my videos because the car's pricing is typically very, very fair, but this is certainly a case where it's kind of ridiculous, and I think there are a few reasons why. I think that higher price point is probably because this is a collab item with Formula One. If you look at the NASCAR diecast line, those cars are about $2 more expensive than your traditional Cars diecast. When it comes to store exclusive diecast, they're almost always $1 or $1.50 more. Typically, they kind of try to make it more worth your while by including accessories or gimmicks, play features, whatever. The same is true with the NASCAR line, which includes those accessories. They always come with the blast walls or pit stop areas, or whatever you want to call them, trying to justify that higher price point. So if you were to buy 3 NASCAR diecasts at, I believe they're currently about $6.50 a piece, then, that would get you closer in price to $20. But these are just 3 regular diecasts that don't come with those additional accessories. Not even Alex Machino really counts, right? Those are the accessories that Pitties always come with. So yeah, I think you're definitely paying for the fact that this is a collab item. F1's probably getting a cut of the money there, right? But as far as Cars diecast line items go, it's certainly overpriced, but I wouldn't see this and start getting concerned about the future of the toy line because of it. I think quite simply it is a collab item with F1, who seems to have pretty expensive merchandise across the board. Plus, it's being sold on the Disney Store website, and Disney Store prices are typically pretty wacky. If you've been to the Disney parks, Disney Store stuff doesn't come cheap. If you bought this off their website, Disney Store stuff doesn't come cheap because it's like $10 shipping, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, unfortunately, you're dealing with the Disney Store, who's always sold things for quite a bit more than they probably should go for, and Formula One as a collab. So you're not getting the best priced item here. I just had to say that, get that out of the way. This really should be $5 cheaper, and I don't think anything there is going to change my mind, because we've seen these diecasts sold for significantly cheaper literally every other time we've had a Cars diecast release. Just had to clarify that. Anyway, on the back of the box, we got the Formula One and Cars logos once again. We've got McQueen, Francesco, and Alex Machino. Again, just really nice box artwork here. And in order to get this open, we've got this little flap here, which is taped down. So we're gonna just peel off that tape, and hopefully our diecasts will be free. All right. Yep. That was easy. Okay, all right. I guess I'll go in order of the pack, which means we will take a look at McQueen first. First, let's take a look at that very nice artwork underneath. Yeah, look at how consistent that is. I love that the art on the inside lines up perfectly with the art on the outside. All right, so starting off with McQueen, and you couldn't have done a Cars brand collab without McQueen, right? There's no way you couldn't have. But there's a problem. McQueen is not a Formula One racer. He's an American racer who races in the Piston Cup, which is kind of its own thing, but very heavily inspired by NASCAR, it wouldn't make sense for a car like McQueen to run in F1. But they didn't make McQueen a racer here. Instead, they decided to make him the safety car. Yeah, he's listed as the track vehicle. This is something that was revealed all the way back in that 3-pack description back in February. And you can see all over the merchandise, all the F1 stuff includes McQueen with a light bar and a different spoiler, as you can see. And he always says track vehicle. So they knew McQueen had to be involved, and they decided that this is how they would involve him in a way that fits, allows the F1 cars to stay as F1 cars and make a little more sense. And I honestly think that's really, really cool. I'm sure there will be some people complaining that they didn't make McQueen a racer, but I think this was a really cool way to do it. Is it a bit weird for McQueen to be the track vehicle? Yeah, but, this is a collab toy line. It's not something that's designed to be strictly canon, just like with the NASCAR diecast where they bring back old canceled sponsors or the Star Wars cars back in the day. These collab diecasts are just designed to be fun collaboration products, fun toys first and foremost, and I really like what they did there. I think it was a really cool idea to incorporate McQueen in this way. And if you look at Formula One track vehicles, their safety cars, yeah, they look a lot closer to more traditional sort of American-styled or non-Formula One race cars. So I think it's very, very cool that that's how they decided to incorporate McQueen. They were like, well, he doesn't look like a racer, but he could maybe pass as the safety car. So they did that. I think that is pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure the role of the safety car in F1. Seems kind of similar to a pace car to me. But again, I don't know what I'm talking about, other than the fact that this is what McQueen is, and I think he matches the design pretty well. So yeah, you'll notice right off the bat that this McQueen is using a pre-existing mold. He is a repaint of Race and Rescue McQueen, which I think is the superior McQueen light bar mold. I'm happy he's using this mold instead of the Deputy Hazard one, which has a smaller light bar. Actually, yeah, I think, right? You know what? He actually looks a little bit different. Is he? Wait a minute. No, I think these are the same mold. Yeah, I mean, the light bar at the very least is the exact same. Yeah, these are, I believe, the same mold going on here. So, yeah, nice to see some reuse of the Race and Rescue McQueen mold, although there is one issue with that we'll get to in just a moment. I gotta say, I really like the facial expression and how it turned out here. I think it's significantly better than Race and Rescue McQueen's. The red is very nice and vibrant. And yeah, we got the Formula One logo here on the hood, track vehicle written there. We even have the little R logo there. And I've got to say, in some ways, I already like these Formula One cars more than the NASCAR diecasts. Not only are these probably going to look better because, actually, these ones are made in China. See, who handle the bulk of cars production once again now. And, Thailand. I was getting ready to say made in Thailand. I forgot. We switched back to China. China and Thailand have always done a better job with the cars diecasts than the ones that are made in Vietnam, especially when it comes to facial expressions and stuff like that. So I think they already have a leg up on the NASCARs for that reason. But the other reason why I genuinely think I might end up liking these better than the NASCAR diecasts is because they actually have Formula One logos on them. My biggest issue with the NASCAR diecast line for a very long time has been that it doesn't really feel like a crossover. It's super cool for Cars fans because it brings back old sponsors that appeared in the first Cars movie but not in Cars 3. But beyond that, it doesn't really do much with the NASCAR name other than naming cars after pre-existing NASCAR racers and putting the NASCAR logo on the box. These cars actually feature F1 logos, and while that maybe makes them a little less realistic to the real racers, as far as a toy collab crossover goes, I genuinely really like that. This is unmistakably the Formula One McQueen. Whereas as much as I like the NASCAR McQueens, those could really be any toy line's version of him, you know? So actually having the F1 logos is really, really nice. Something else that's really nice is that this is all actually textured. This is placed sort of above the text and is actually, above the body, and is actually textured, which is really, really nice. Yeah. Moving on to the side, we have a pretty simplistic design, but I really like it. We have a unique lightning bolt shape, the F1 logo once again, and yes, you could once again see that is sort of three-dimensional and textured. It says track vehicle down there. His wheels are actually completely blank, which I think is just nice attention to detail. And then we have this very interesting detail, this dot pattern all over. It starts small and gets bigger until the dots are all consistently touching on the back. And I'm very excited to say, even this is textured, not in the lightning bolt, but throughout the rest of the body. This is all textured, which is just really, really nice. You can see the light catches it specifically. You can feel it. I just really, really like how detailed that is. It's very, very cool. I don't know why they went with the dot aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of the hexagon grid pattern used on the GRC cars. What it really reminds me of is classic Jack Kirby comic book art and Steve Ditko art, right? Where these Marvel artists back in the 60s would sort of fill in spaces by using these dots. They're called the Ditko dots these days, and you used to see them in a lot of comic art. That's really what this reminds me of. And that dot pattern is used all throughout these items. You can see it on the McQueen plush as well. And also a bit more noticeable on the McQueen plush is that he actually has sort of an ombre design as the red becomes darker towards the back. Once again, kind of reminiscent of the GRC. But going back to the McQueen plush, it does something that the Diecast doesn't, which is really frustrating to me. He has a unique spoiler, and this guy down here doesn't. Yeah, so if you look at real-life F1 track vehicles, to once again reference that photo I showed earlier, they do have spoilers like this, you know, your sort of Cars 2 McQueen spoiler. And for the Diecast, despite the fact that the official artwork that's used on shirts and such, and the plush do give McQueen this new, correct track vehicle spoiler, the Diecast just reuses his traditional one. And this is something that's really disappointing to me and also feels almost unlike the Cars Diecast line to do. Typically, if they need a new mold, they're going to make one. And I am very, very disappointed to see that they didn't here. I appreciate them reusing the Race and Rescue mold because it's a new McQueen with a light bar, but this really deserved its own new mold with a plastic insert spoiler. This just feels really awkward to me and a really awkward case of cheaping out that, again, we don't really see with the Diecast line often. Typically, if they need a new mold, they make it. And when you're paying $20 for 3 cars, very disappointing that they didn't go out of their way to give McQueen the spoiler that the rest of the merchandise has. He has the same all black with just the F1 logo. And again, it's insanely funny that the little copyright R is there. I know that has to be, that it's just kind of funny to see. But to not have the unique mold there is really, really frustrating. On the back, it says F1 track vehicle. It's actually another difference from the plush, which has an almost completely empty back that just says Rusty's. I don't know what happened there. This looked awkward as soon as I first unboxed it. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be there. Yeah, I don't know why. This definitely is a better design for the back. There is a look at the other side, and there is a look at the base, complete with the little spots for a Mater Diecast to tow it. These cars are so weird to hold because you just feel all the little dots. I gotta say, this is a very good looking item. The spoiler discrepancy is pretty annoying, but all in all, I am pretty happy with how this turned out. And I'm especially happy to see they came up with a clever, unique way to incorporate McQueen. I definitely prefer this over trying to pass off McQueen as an F1 racer. I know nothing about F1, and even I could tell you that that would have been really, really weird. It also allows all 3 of the cars in the pack to be different. Track vehicle, racer, pity. I like that this collab shows you that, hey, more than just racers make up F1. It's really a team effort. But speaking of racers, let's move on to, I think, who's going to be the highlight of the pack for a lot of people, the one and only Francesco Bernoulli. Of course, with the Cars F1 collab, you had to incorporate Francesco. And I'm very happy to see that they did. You know, he's all over the marketing. He was a nightmare to get out of the bubble for some reason. Very tight in there. He was all over the marketing. And, you know, he's on the shirts and stuff because he is the Cars character designed to look like an F1 car. When this item was first revealed, I said I felt it wasn't different enough from other Francesco diecasts. It reminded me a lot of just the regular one or the GRC one, and I really ate my words when we got a closer look at it not long after I made that video, because this Francesco is very, very, very different and a lot more detailed than I initially thought. I think with Francesco, it could be a bit difficult making unique designs for him. He always incorporates the Italian flag in some capacity, and he doesn't really have much room to work with. The original diecast has red here, then white, then green. The GRC one very cleverly flips the flag to go the other way. And this one, well, it does its own thing. And I really appreciate that this is the least flag-looking Francesco has been. We were introduced to Francesco through the World Grand Prix, right? So it makes sense that he was repping his country's colors there. But I feel like an F1 racer Francesco, where he's already racing on the European circuit, perhaps in Italy. I believe the Cars F1 race is in Italy. I appreciate that they kind of went for a more unique color scheme for this item because, again, he's not in the World Grand Prix. He's not in something sort of that's all these racers from different countries. He doesn't need to look like a big Italian flag if he is already racing in his home country, I don't think. And I do really like what they did here. Francesco is almost entirely red with just some little white and green highlights throughout. I didn't notice this at all in my initial video when these were revealed. But he also has the Steve Ditko dots all over the hood, and they're also completely textured. We got that nice ombre there, and I really like that they did still incorporate the flag here on the front in a completely different way. We got the number 1 there in a new font, I think larger than we've ever seen it, and we just have a little Italian flag, sort of shield-looking kind of crest emblem going on there. Francesco has, I believe this is an exclusive facial expression, looking pretty good. I do think from some angles, just all the dots on the front make him look a little bit awkward, but I'm just happy to see that they did something with this section of Francesco that typically isn't modified in any way. Up on the front, we once again see some unique coloring here, red, white, and then black on the front, which is very, very cool. A lot of this Francesco is in black with the whole base there. Also, you know, with the section attaching him to the wheels. Kind of reminds me of the GRC one in that way, but, you know, I think that he looks really good and really unique, very different. Look at where they put the 1. I don't think we've ever seen that before, right? Yeah, that is insanely cool. Just very good usage of space all over this guy. I think the regular Francesco, the GRC one, are both fantastic designs. This is another one that looks really great and just very unique and different. Formula 1 written there and F1 logo up there. I like the white with the black outline and then green around that. Very nice dark green wheels, which look very, very nice. Match the rest of him very well. I love that dark green color all throughout. Formula 1 logo once again on the back here on the spoiler. And I really like this as well. This Italian flag logo here with the green, white, and red. And this green actually looks like it connects from there, which is a really nice touch, except I guess it doesn't here because you gotta do the flag on this side as well. And look, they even snuck a Formula 1 logo underneath his spoiler. Insanely cool. This is a really, really great looking item. You couldn't do a Formula 1 collab without Francesco, and I think they did a really good job. This is one of the most unique Francesco designs we've gotten to date, and I think it's pretty solid. Honestly, I think I might like the design for McQueen a bit better. I don't know why, I just feel like it works a little better, but I really appreciate the boldness and, you know, the opportunity to really change how Francesco looks while still making it look like the character. It's pretty solid. And now, after Francesco, we move on to the third and final item in the set. The one that I've honestly been crazy excited for. ever since this leaked, I've been so excited to see a brand new variant of Francesco's Pity, Alex Machino. Yeah, I don't know why they decided to include a new version of Francesco's Pity in this set instead of, say, a second racer, which I think would have been ideal, but I'm certainly not complaining. We have our first ever new variant of Alex Machino, aside from the original one first released back, when, 2016, right? I just love that this pack includes, again, 3 different types of cars. We've got the track vehicle, we've got a racer, and then we have a Pity for that racer. Again, I do think we probably should have gotten 2 racers instead, but I am never going to complain if a obscure Cars character gets a new variant, especially if it's for the first time ever. Second ever Alex Machino diecast. That is super cool, and I just love that they decided to make Francesco's Pity a part of the line. He's even on one of the shirts. There's an Alex Machino Cars Formula 1 crossover shirt out there now. That's insane. Love seeing this character being used. And honestly, right off the bat, I think I like this one more than the original. I really like how well he carries over Francesco's color scheme. Of course, he's all red here. But now, instead of like the original, where he has a red cap, he has an all black cap. Looks like mine has a little piece of paint sticking off of it. There we go. We got that off. Of course, Francesco used black as an accent color on the bottom and around the back and the top. So to see that here on Alex works really, really well. I really like the consistent color scheme all throughout all 3 of these characters. Really, it really helps make them match, which is super great. I really like this new facial expression as well. I think I may prefer it to the previous Alex Machino one. And moving on to the side, we've got the Formula 1 logo on him as well, with this very sort of swoopy design. We've got green. I mean, look at how well the color usage here has been done, right? This bottom part is all done in green, and then this back part that's raised up is all done in white with a black highlight. And it's actually very similar to the original Alex, but it uses the sort of swooping shape to make a design that looks like what we see on the packaging, with the sort of Formula 1 logo and all the swooshes with the different colors. And I think that's really cool, just taking advantage of the pre-existing shape Alex Machino has and using that to your advantage to make it fit the aesthetic of your brand. It's really smart. It's genuinely really smart. We've got white wheels down there, and oh, it actually says recovery vehicle. That's interesting. So is he not Francesco's Pity here, or is that just... That's weird. Huh. I think the description just said Alex Machino. I don't know. Again, I don't know NASCAR. I don't know F1 super well. So is he supposed to be like a side security vehicle? Or is he just Francesco's Pity here? Either way, I don't really know. And I see that and think, now you have more play opportunities. Maybe he's Francesco's Pity. Maybe he's the recovery vehicle. If there's like a crash or something. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what this means. It is kind of weird. Huh. Alright, whatever. Still, it's a new variant of Francesco's Pity, and I think he fits the pack very, very well. And whether he is Francesco's Pity here, or he's the recovery vehicle, or those mean the exact same thing, and I'm just stupid and don't know what I'm talking about, I really like, once again, that we have 3 different types of cars here. We've got the pit crew, we've got the racer, we've got the safety car, and we also have the accessories you would expect from a Pity. We have this stack of tires, which I believe is the same one that came with the original Alex, I think. It's actually only colored on one side, so I guess you know which side is the top, right? And that color does match Francesco's wheels. And then he also comes with a tool cart, which has the F1 logo on it, which is super, super cool. Altogether, a pretty solid 3-pack. It's hard to look past the price being $5 more than it should be, but inside, you get 3 brand new exclusive diecasts that I think look really, really great and really do take advantage of that Formula 1 collab. If we truly are getting more cars from this line in the future, I'm excited to see how they release. So hopefully, they're easier to get. I have heard that this is going to show up at actual physical Smith stores over in countries that have those, which is nice. Over here, it seems like they'll be online exclusives for now. Working with the Disney Store can really be a nightmare. So it's unfortunate this item might not be the easiest to pick up. It's unfortunate that it's overpriced. At the end of the day, you know, now that you've seen the review, of course, you can make the decision for yourself if this is something you're considering buying or not. I think these are some pretty good looking die casts all together and a pretty cool collab. Just a pack that, just on principle, should be a little cheaper than it is. But hey, if you don't mind paying $5 more, $20 I'd say is still a pretty good price. Just looking at what you get, it's not bad. It's just not what it should be. So yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this item down in the comments. I'm super excited to add these 3 brand new cars to my collection. Please consider subscribing if you like what you saw. I've got a lot more new Cars Diecast reviews coming soon. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.